Magandang araw! April Marcas po, ang inyong pretty ate sa Edtech Unit. Alam ba ninyo na may webinar o online training session ng Edtech Unit tuwing Sabado? Ang araw na ito ay nakalaan para sa ating mga mahal na kaguruan upang turuan sila ng mga bagong kaalaman at kakayahan sa paggamit ng makabagong software at applications para sa pinaka-epektibong paraan at lubos mapaghusay ang kanilang paraan ng pagtuturo. This is also our fresher session for our beloved teachers to enhance their skills in technology. Every Saturday, we will conduct webinar sessions for teachers about the use, advantages, and relevance of different blended learning software applications. Ang webinar seryeng ito ay magsisimula ng alas 9 ng umaga hanggang alas 12 ng tanghali para sa morning session. Magsisimula naman ng alauna at magtatapos ng alas 4 ng hapon ang afternoon session. You can watch us in our DepEd Edtech Unit Facebook page, Educational Technology Unit YouTube channel, DepEd Tayo, and DepEd Philippines. Kita-kits tayo tuwing Sabado!
Magandang araw! Sir Wilbur po, at your service. Narito ang ETUlay upang gabayan ka sa inyong pag-aaral upang lubos na maunawaan ang iba't ibang paksa o subject. Ang ETUlay ay isang free online tutorial class na pinangungunahan ng DepEd Educational Technology Unit sa pamumuno ni Undersecretary Elaine Del B. Pascua. Ang programang ito ay hindi lamang para sa mga bata, kundi ito rin ay magsisilbing gabay sa mga magulang at mga guro kung paano nila ituturo o gagabayan sa bawat asignatura ang kanilang mga anak o mga estudyante. Sa kasalukuyan, ang self-learning module mula sa rehiyon ng Calabarzon at kilala sa tawag na pivot ang ginagamit sa ating ETUlay online class. Kaya ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Ihanda na ang inyong mga ballpen o lapis, papel o kwaderno at samahan kaming itulay ang pagkatuto para sa bawat batang Pilipino. Sama-sama tayong magtutulungan para malampasan ang mga hamon sa panahong ito. Halina't matuto kasama ang inyong online tutor sa oras na ito.
Hello, learners! Happy Tuesday English Day! I am Tutor Jamie and I will be guiding and sharing knowledge about creative nonfiction. So get ready as we amplify the levels of our imagination and use it in writing literary pieces in our most creative way. So we are now in quarter 3, week 2 of creative nonfiction. And last March 23, we were introduced to this writing technique, this new writing technique, if I may add. And it was described as truth well told. No? And for today's ETUlay session, we will be digging in deeper into another topic, and I actually have a good news for you. So this topic is not new, as you have already encountered this lesson in your elementary and junior high school days. So super dali lang nito. So I bet this should be a piece of cake. Ayan. So, but before we go even further, if you remember po last week, I have given you a task, my dear learners and my yung mga kasama ko pong teachers, and also for those who are tuning in, I have given you a task. Ito po yun. Let me share it to you. Yung express yourself, no? I called out and challenged our learners and our viewers to share your thoughts and write a 2-stanza poem. And I also mentioned that you should submit it as a comment here on ETUlay video. However, when I looked at it, I think it was filtered, so hindi ko nakita iba. Pero may humabol, no? Someone actually answered for the task, faced the task. And now, let us have our first ETUlay brave soul, the one who looked in the eye of last week's task, accepted and conquered the fear of words and the English language itself. amidst the struggle of not doing anything because of the ECQ and the Holy Week break. So kahit nakakatamad, he even moved this way and messaged me na, "Ma'am, here is my answer to your challenge." And this is he is the pride of Caloocan City Business High School, and let me share to you his work. Ayan. So shout out to Mark Acosta of Caloocan City Business High School. Let us read his Express Yourself poem entitled Be Who You Want to Be. Ayan. Ngayon pa lang, Mark, congratulations. When I want to achieve something, I aim for the gold. Don't tell me what to do. Don't fit me into the mold. I don't waste time. I speed things up. I make my own lane, and no one can disrupt. Sometimes you have to stand out from the crowd, do what you love, and wear your own crown. Because you are a bird who is free to fly, just be yourself and fight for what's right. Yeah, and so this is a poem from Mark Acosta of Caloocan City Business High School. Congratulations, Mark. And I'm proud that you have accepted the challenge and it was really good. You were awesome. Okay, there. So shout out po muna before we move on. By the way, shout out again to our STO Caloocan, headed by our very supportive STS, Dr. Losaria, to my Caloocan City Business High School family, headed by our OIC Principal, Dr. Ivy Perez, along with the department heads and coordinators, particularly the English department with Sir Rudney Putong. So stay safe po tayong lahat. Ayan. So good afternoon not only for those learners but also teachers all over the country. So thank you po for being with us today. So for today we have our lesson, our second week on creative nonfiction, and this is our objective for the day. So this is about different literary elements, and our objective is to uh, create samples of different literary elements based on one's experience, like the use of imagery, figure of speech, and in sharing your emotions. Ayan. So good afternoon po sa lahat po na nakatutok today. Ayan. So we move on. Ayan. So we begin by defining literary elements. So for the literary elements, when we speak of literary elements, we are referring to the components of a literary piece. Literary elements, I would like to think of this aspect of literature as something like of an ingredient when we are cooking. I would always want to compare this or to relate this to an ingredient when I teach my students. Like for example, if I am cooking sinigang na baboy, its ingredients would be ano ba mga ingredients ng sinigang na baboy? Of course, yung pork, and then also you have the yung vegetables, and then yung for us yung pangpaasim, and then may kamatis, may sibuyas and all, di ba? So those are the ingredients. So just like that, we can compare that in the simplest form, yung literary elements as the components of a literary piece. That would mean that every literary piece possibly would have these elements, no? There. So we have character, setting, plot, and theme. Well, yung iba sa atin, we would differ, no? We would have a different view of what literary elements would be. Some would actually refer literary elements as also the literary devices or the literary techniques, which is really almost the same din naman, as long as we put them all together to make a masterpiece of a literature or a literary piece. Okay? There. So these are the components of literary pieces. Now, for the literary devices, we refer to those, I would like to refer it as the tools used in a literary piece. So if literary elements would be the ingredients, how do we cook our literature by is through the use of the tools that we have or that we know, literary devices. So my dear learners, no, I mentioned earlier na talagang okay, na talagang naririnig nyo na to even during since elementary and even in junior high school. So parang paulit-ulit na lang, no? But I think this would really help you, especially if you are aiming at writing your first novel, short story, essay, or any literary piece. Ayan. So shout out po sa mga naka-tune in, Miss Jessica Ocampo, Yums 12A Diego Silang High School. Ma'am Paner Mary Grace T, Humes 12A Diego Silang. Ayan. Good afternoon po. Ayan. So next we have, so what are these literary devices? I would like to first mention the four most common. No, meron tayong apat na talagang kumbaga sa ano gasgas na, but we still use it because they are the most common, and we find it really easy to use them. So these are imagery, metaphor, simile, and personification. Okay, so at marami pa yang iba. Would you believe that there would be more than 20 literary devices, figures of speech, and all others na hindi natin lahat alam. But of course, we would like to emphasize on the few or the most common. Okay. So let's have first the first our quick quiz. So yung etong apat na to, no, imagery, metaphor, simile, personification. This is too common that parang mabilisan lang ma-define na natin to by ourselves, no? So when we say imagery, it's like referring or addressing the five senses, and we picture the author uses this to picture an image in the minds of the readers, no? And then metaphor and simile are actually two of the best ways into comparing two unlike things. Metaphor with using a direct comparison, simile using as or like, and then personification, putting a human trait or human character into something that is inanimate. So let's try a quick quiz. So for your answers, just type in your replies or your answers on the chat box. Okay, so you just need to identify. Let's just identify. Let's read the context or the content, and then let's just identify if it's imagery, personification, simile, or metaphor. Sige, tignan nga natin. This one. The sunset was the most gorgeous they'd ever seen. The clouds were edged with pink and gold. So what is this? What literary device? Or is this imagery? Is this simile, metaphor, or personification? What is your answer? So watching from Gulod Senior High School in Batangas City, kamusta po kayo dyan? Watching from Cagayan de Oro City, Anrim Boyles Palomas. Sir Martin, John Martin A. de Guzman, watching from Caloocan City Business High School. Hello, sir. Watching from Victoria Homes Elementary School, Muntinlupa. Ayan, may mga sagot na. So from Carl Vincent Apordo, imagery. Nika Lusing, imagery. Jaymar Alibango, imagery. So ang dami kong nakikita and you answered imagery. So let's see if it's really imagery. Yes, it's imagery and visual in particular. So why do we think that it's visual, or why did we coin it as imagery? Because when you look at the sentence or when you read the sentence, it actually pictures an image of a sunset, that not just a sunset, but a gorgeous clouds that edge with pink and gold. Saan ka makakita ng pink and gold? I haven't seen that. Pero it actually created that picture, that image in my mind when I read those words. No? So imagery really helps in um, putting an expression or putting an image in your reader's mind. Okay, so very good. Next, let's do another. Sabi sa inyo, very easy to eh. Piece of cake. This is a quotation from Shakespeare. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. So what do you think is the literary device used in this quotation? Is it imagery, simile? Is it metaphor? Is it personification? What do you think? So, inihintay ko pa yung sagot ng iba. So, habang inihintay ko, uh, shout out to Sander JP Paderes, 11 Humes, Marks. Hindi ko ma-pronounce yung ano. I don't know the meaning of GTD LNHS. Ayan. To my students from Caloocan City Business High School, thank you for participating today. Okay, so I'm sure you know your answers pero malamang medyo nahirapan tayo no with the connection. But then we have the answer. We have metaphor from Carl Vincent Apordo. We have from Queen Fiona Marie Villanueva, metaphor. Joshua Belches, metaphor. Let's see if it's metaphor. It is metaphor. Ayan. Because in this statement or in this quotation, Shakespeare has compared two unlike things. So, stage and world. Indirect niyang kinumpare. There's no need for any other words or expressions uh, to do the comparison. So, metaphor. Good job. Next. So, this is from I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. A host of golden daffodils beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Ako, I would understand if you would answer differently from what is mentioned here. Pwedeng more than one kasi I have selected lines wherein hindi lang isa or it can be two literary devices. But of course, we choose the most obvious. And I see here answers like personification by Kate and Marie Figura, Jessa Barbaroar, personification from Albert Jerome de Una, from General, ako nawala, wait lang. Ayun, De Leon National High School. General Trias De Leon National High School. I hope I mentioned that correctly. Ayan. So let's see if it's personification. It is personification. Ayan. So personification, fluttering and dancing in the breeze would be the daffodils. They really don't do that because basically they're flowers, but they are personifying a character trait that humans do or animate or a living thing does. Well, daffodils also are living things. Okay, next. I think this is the last. No, there. It's cold outside, like when you walked out my life. Why you walked out my life? This is part of the lyrics of Heartbreak Anniversary. So what do you think is the literary device? You may also coin it with another literary device, but of course we would like to get or answer the most obvious or the obvious answer. There, I see Kyla Kathleen Palazon mentioned simile, Jessica Carillo simile, Liabado simile. Ayan, sabi nyo simile. Tingnan nga natin kung ang Heartbreak Anniversary ay simile. Yes, it is simile. Okay, why? Because the singer or the composer of the song actually compared to unlike things that would be the weather outside or the feeling outside and the feeling of someone walking out of your life. Ayan, napakabigat, napaka heartbreaking naman talaga yung kantang ito, ano. Okay, so there, simile is the correct answer. Now, let's try your idea on this one. So your turn. What you're going to do is that I will flash a literary device and try, no, so maiksing sentence lang or statement. Try to answer this question truthfully, of course, ano tayo, creative nonfiction. Truthfully, Genevieve Marigza Arela, pa-shout out daw. Hello po, ma'am. Ayan. So truthfully, you have to answer this question. How are you feeling today? Sorry, typo. How are you feeling today? And then I will flash a literary device wherein you can format your answer. Okay? So for this one, we have simile. So answer this question using a statement with simile or a literary device simile. Like if I would put it, ako, I would if I answer this question, how are you feeling today? Simile, so it's like and as, no. Um, I am great as how? I am great as a wonderful song. I feel great like hearing my most favorite Carpenter song. Carpenter song, parang napaghalata ang edad ni ma'am, no? So, would you like to uh, give out your statement for this one? Practice lang tayo since we are doing creative nonfiction. Truthfully, doesn't matter if you're feeling sad or feeling low, if you're feeling happy, excited. There. Shout out to Miss Joyce Ann Bernal. Humes 12A Diego Silang. So there you have it. Mine would be I feel great, just like the song It's Yesterday Once More. So I have here Queen Fiona Marie Villanueva. I'm feeling lazy like a cat under under a sun. There. So good job, Miss Villanueva. Nakakatawa naman. Like a cat under a sun. Good job. So that's how you feel like lazy. Oo nga eh, kasi tapos na klase, no? But then we still have this one. So thank you for that. Meron pang isa, Carl Vincent Apordo. On this day, I feel like I'm a gloomy weather. Like gloomy weather. Oh, okay. So parang sad ka. Vivian Soron Villaseñor. Hope I pronounced that right. I feel light as the cloud in the sky. Good job. And then Richan Liabado. I feel like I am happy today. Feel lang. But of course, yeah, thank you. And then Joshua Belches, I'm a bit good like my grades. I'm I have to check that, Mr. Belches. Okay, there. And then Faye Gohol, I feel like I was a child. Ayan, so parang playful yata ang feeling ni Gohol. Ayan, thank you very much. How about if we answer the same question in metaphor? Ayan, sabi sa inyo, madadali lang yan eh. Let's try this one. How about a statement using a literary device metaphor? Just the same. How are you feeling today? So if metaphor, I'm feeling in love today according to John Vidago Decrito. Ayan. So congratulations, you're feeling in love. But let's try you doing that um in a direct comparison of what you feel today on something that is different from your feelings. So pag metaphor, direct po yan. So it's actually the most common way of expressing our feeling. I am a hot potato today. Okay, yun. Or I am I am I am a great big bowl of happiness today. Okay? I feel as if I'm inside oven, as if I'm inside the oven. Okay, so medyo parang challenging yata ang metaphor. Sige, I'll wait for your other comments but on this one. So we can move on. Move on talaga ang mention ko. Okay, literary devices. Now, after those four most common literary devices that we use, we also have the three na medyo this could be a bit new to most of us or to most of you, no? There, I'm feeling blue. Ayan, Ma'am Liabado, Richan Liabado. Thank you. Okay. So, after those four most common, let's move to the three of the not really known o hindi madalas ginagamit or we may be using them but we really don't know what they are called. Okay? So, these are allusion, diction, and foreshadowing. So, let's have allusion first. So when we say allusion, it's an indirect reference to some idea, figure, other text, place, or event that originates from outside the text. So it's in simplest form, it's just referring to something else. When I say something else, it's more of like for example, you are using a statement and then you use allusion. When you use allusion, you are referring to instead na i-explain mo pa ng pagkahaba-haba what you want to say, you're just going to allude it to something like a verse in a story from the Bible, a character from the Bible, a character in the Greek mythology and all. Let me give you an example. Chocolate is my Achilles heel. So instead of just saying it, chocolate is my weakness, which is not really creative in saying. No, you use allusion to mean that it's your weakness. So what is the reference there? The reference there is that you are saying that chocolate would be your weakness. Instead of saying weakness, you use Achilles heel, the term Achilles heel. So who is Achilles? Achilles is a character or in Greek mythology, he is one of the best warriors. No, he is actually one of the characters. If you watch Troy, no, that stars Brad Pitt, um, and Orlando Bloom, si Achilles yung isa sa mga major characters doon. Achilles is one of the best warriors in the Greek mythology. Some say that he is actually the son of God, one of the son, Zeus, I think. So correct me if I'm wrong, no, sa mga teachers na kasama natin. And Achilles cannot be defeated. He is actually one of the heroes in the fall of Troy when the Greeks came in together and tried to defeat Troy kasi Troy is really hindi siya mapasok, hindi siya makonquer. And Achilles was one of the instruments who were victorious in conquering the Troy. So amidst sa kabila ng kanyang lakas, no, despite of his strength, his comparable strength, Achilles has one weakness, and that is his heel. And the reason na bakit sa daming parte ng katawan niya, yung heel niya ang may weakness, no? At doon siya napana or natamaan ng arrow natamaan ng arrow, and yun yung kinamatay niya. The reason why yun ang pinaka in the Greek mythology, ang sabi, when he was like baptized, yung heel niya, yung nilubog siya sa tubig. Yes, there. So nilubog siya sa tubig, parang yung heel niya ang hindi na lagyan or hindi na lagyan ng power, kasi syempre doon siya hinawakan eh. So yun yung pinaka mahina sa kanya. Yun yung kanyang weakness. So when we use that in allusion, Achilles heel would mean that it's your weakness or weakness. Yes, that's right. Correct, no? So yun din yung sabi ni Carl Vincent Apordo. Ayan. So that is allusion. So when you say you have to allude something, your chocolate is my Achilles heel, would be that is my weakness. So 'di ba? Parang pag ganun, parang ang dami mo nabasa na stories, no? So these are the most common allusions that are used. So when you say Hercules or Herculean, that would mean the strength, no? Herculean strength. He possesses Herculean strength, or he is the Hercules in the family. So meaning he's the strongest in the family. Pandora's box. So we all know the story of Pandora's box. So Pandora opened a box that is not supposed to be opened, and came out a lot of plagues and diseases and problems that actually started in the on earth or in the world. So that would mean consequences. Cupid, of course, we all know who Cupid is, and then so we alluded to love or matchmaker. And then Garden of Eden, paradise or downfall, and or downfall. So, di ba, we all know what happened in the Garden of Eden there. And then Noah's Ark would be like it's an impossible task that has to be used. So, like studying, um, uh, finishing with flying colors would be my Noah's Ark. No? So parang it's your impossible task, especially if you're not studying. And then David and Goliath, this is something that we always use. So the battle between, let's say, Philippines and China would be like David and Goliath. No? So pero in David and Goliath, the underdog is David, but eventually he was the one who triumphed over the battle. And then Tower of Babel would be a tragic end. No, so after years of building a very tall or enormous tower, it all ended tragically. No, there. So those are the allusions, and there are others. There are more. Like for example, if we say like um, you are the Romeo of my life. So alluding to Romeo, the character in Romeo and Juliet, meaning the partner, no, the forever partner in life. Ayan. So next we have diction. So when we speak of diction naman, this is more on the choice of words and style of expression that an author makes and uses in a work of literature to show different points of view. Let me give you an example. So, could you be so kind as to pass me the milk versus give me that? So, these two statements would actually mean that you want something to be given to you, but you mention it or you say it in two different ways. So, who would you be talking to? Pag yung first statement, who do you think you would be talking to? Kanino mo kaya sinasabi yan? Pag, could you be so kind as to pass me the milk? Kanino mo kaya sinasabi yan? Maybe you would say that to a superior or to an elder, but you would not say, give me that to an elder or a superior, no? Mababa. Nako, makikita mong hinahanap mo if you speak that way, no, to an elder. So when we speak of diction, it's like choosing your words or choosing the words of the characters and then showing through diction what characterization or what character he or she is portraying. Like for example, if you want your characters to be like a formal person or an educated person, you would want to put in a dialogue that is formal for that person. Okay? There. So diction actually helps in determining the point of view of the story. So if pagpabulong yung gusto mong point of view, bumubulong si character, you would use like kung paano mo kausapin yung sarili mo, 'di ba? Then establishes the voice of the narrator. So most probably if you are like once upon a time in a faraway land there was a tiny kingdom, peaceful, prosperous and rich in romance and tradition, would establish the voice of the narrator, that there is a narrator in the story, no, and he or she or that narrator knows everything. And then it also helps in closely connecting with the characterization. So yun nga, kasi characterization also builds the dialogue and the word choice for for the characters is dapat magkasama yun eh. If you have your character and you have built it na parang siga-siga siya, dapat kasama pati yung diction or kasama pati yung word choice na gagamitin niya all throughout the story. Okay? There. Next is foreshadowing. When we speak naman of foreshadowing, it is a hint of what would happen in a story. And it often appears at the beginning of a story or a chapter. But sometimes, in films especially, they would put the foreshadowing in between the events or in between plots, no, so it makes the parang conflict na ito, parang ito na yung conflict, kala natin okay na tapos meron pa pala ulit, parang ganon. So it makes the story exciting and even more interesting. Okay, there are foreshadowing can actually be presented through a dialogue. Like when someone says, "I have goosebumps," parang kinakabahan ako. We would know that uh, something is happening, something bad is happening, or something exciting is happening. So we also use it through pag nakakakita tayo ng symbols like blood. So when we see like when you enter in a house and then there's a candle there, it's only lit by a candle, and there's blood, and then there's this skull, and then there's the candle is sticking on top of the skull. Say you would have a foreshadowing that this house is scary or something would happen here. Also with weather, omens, superstitions, and character reactions. Okay, so there are different types of foreshadowings. One would be Chekhov's gun, or obvious showing of what might happen in the story. This actually coined by Anton Chekhov, a Russian ano siya physician siya, and also anong tawag nito? He makes drama, or he is into drama too. Okay, when we say Chekhov's gun, I have there the Harry Potter example, no? So, if you are a fan of Harry Potter, no, 'di ba? For all the books of Harry Potter or even the film, everything that they practice in school, talagang gagamitin nila when Harry Potter would encounter or would have to battle the evil ones, no, yung mga kaaway niya. Like for example, on Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, hindi, doon na lang tayo sa Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire there. So Chekhov's gun would mean na the foreshadowing there is that on the onset pa lang, the Goblet of Fire is already there. And hindi siya nandoon for display. It has a significant role in that Harry Potter episode or Harry Potter chapter, no, or in that Harry Potter film. Ang sabi kasi ni Anton Chekhov, if you are going to put an item and you are going to state that, parang ipapakita mo papakita mo sa ano tawag niyan, sa story, if you intend to show it like yung Goblet of Fire, it should not stay as something na parang display lang. It has to have a significance in the middle or at the end of the story, dapat talaga gagamitin mo siya. Kaya tinawag na Chekhov's gun kasi there is this one story that Anton Chekhov has uh, has done na pinakita yung rifle, yung Russian rifle. Ang sabi niya, kung i-display mo yan, it has to fire on the next scene. Dapat pumutok yan, dapat magamit yan. So that's a foreshadowing of Chekhov's gun. What it means of Chekhov's gun. Dapat if you are going to introduce a character, that character has to have a significant role in any part of the story. Hindi siya pang display lang. Okay? There. Next, foreshadowing would be symbolic. Symbols are used to note a change in the character's luck or attitude. Example is Lion King. In this picture, or it depicts the parang binyag or parang presentation of Simba as a cub and soon to be the king of Pride Rock. Diba? This, pinili ko to kasi it has that yung ray ng sun, it actually directed on Simba at the very point na tinaas siya ni Rafiki. Pero if you have watched this movie, you would see that the time na umuulan naman, it was raining when Simba tried to claim naman the throne again from his uncle Scar, 'di ba? So parang may symbol yung araw, yung ray ng sun, and yung symbol din nung pag-ulan. Okay. So, okay. So, moving forward, wait lang. There are other two foreshadowing techniques. So, ito na lang. Yung red herring naman. Red herring. When we say naman red herring, it's a prophecy pala muna. Linked with prophecy or fortune telling. So in this movie, Kung Fu Panda, it was prophesied that a panda would be the dragon warrior. Sorry, nakapapanood ko lang niyang kagabi. Yan. So nabigay ko siyang example. And then this one of my favorite movies would be the red herring foreshadowing. In Ocean's 8, the attention is diverted. So their intention, ang pinakita nila sa mga tao, sa viewer, is that only they will only steal the necklace, the toussaint that is hanging on the actress or on Daphne Kluger's neck. Yun lang ang alam ng viewers. But then they diverted the attention, and at the end of the story or at the end of the film, they also robbed the other necklaces din pala, no, yung mga naka-display in the museum without the audience knowing. So it's actually just like a surprise. Yan. And then you have flashback. Author needs the reader to know something that doesn't fit with the current storyline. Sa Nemo, Finding Nemo, all throughout the story, it's just Marlin and Nemo who are moving in the story. But the flashback was provided at the beginning to explain why in the whole movie, Coral, the mother of Nemo, the wife of Marlin, is not with them. And it also explains bakit super protective, why Marlin is too protective of his son Nemo. Yan. So yan yung mga foreshadowing techniques. Okay, so ready, set, create. Learners and everyone who is tuned in. This is another task that I would like you to accept and to share by next ETUlay session. Choose a literary device, one that we have discussed, and use it to create any of the following. So you can choose any of these one. These are real experiences that you have, everybody has, no? So you can choose from one and then choose a literary device. But so you first one would be describe the place where you stayed during the 2020 ECQ. Do a creative nonfiction in this setting by using any literary device that we have discussed. Or you can narrate your one boring afternoon using a literary device. And then, o kaya write a dialogue with your new and old self pre and during pandemic, or what you think yourself would be after pandemic. And then limit your paragraph into 5 or 6 sentences only. And then also send it here. You can actually send it to me through PM, or send it here next time and put the hashtag ETUlay hashtag ETUlay CNF, or creative nonfiction. Ayan, so overtime na ako. So that's all for today. I hope I would be able to see your creative nonfiction work by next week, para we can share it to our learners and to everyone who is joining us in creative nonfiction. So thank you for today, and stay safe, everyone. Bye.
Sigurado ako na marami ka na namang natutuhan sa ating ETUlay tutorial session ngayong araw. Tandaan, ito ay hindi lamang para sa ating mga mag-aaral, kundi pati rin sa ating mga minamahal na guro at mga magulang na kaagapay natin para maituloy ang pagkatuto sa kabila ng nararanasang pandemya. Patuloy ding sumubaybay sa DepEd TV para sa mga araling ginawang video episodes. Mapapanood ito mula Lunes hanggang Sabado, alas 7 ng umaga hanggang alas 7 ng gabi sa inyong mga telebisyon. Abangan bukas mula 1:00 ng tanghali ang iba pang aralin sa ating ETUlay free online tutorial session sa Filipino. I-like and subscribe at manatiling nakasubaybay sa ating ETUlay tutorial session sa DepEd Edtech Unit FB page at Educational Technology Unit channel sa YouTube at sa DepEd Tayo at DepEd Philippines social media accounts. Paalam!